There we go. Sorry about that. We had a little kerfuffle there, I guess. Had my camera set a little too large. Good thing I had the settings ready to go and open. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve. Thank you for joining me here on Coffee with Steve. Don't forget, you gotta have your coffee, right? Better turn on my little warmer here. Yes, I got one of those little, I don't know, it's not sharper image, but it's like something you can go pick up for like $5 at, I think we got this at Bed Bath & Beyond. It's pretty cool. I like it. Nice little coffee warmer. Keep my cup nice and toasty. So, today, I think there's some pretty exciting news. This is, once again, technology-related stuff. You know me, I'm a big tech guy. Software development is my bag, right? I've been in the IT industry for a very long time. Been tinkering around with computers since I was, a wee lad back in the 90s. That was my first computer was a 486. That's how far back I go. Before Pentiums. Before the Pentium chip revolutionized computing. Yes, I remember those days. Had a, I think my fastest, I think I started out with a 14K, was a 14.4 modem, right? That's how we connected to everybody. Ran a BBS system, all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, that's not what you guys have come here to hear me talk about. No. I want to harken back a little bit. We're going to go back to a little bit before. So 4 years ago, as a matter of fact, almost 4 years ago to the day, it's a little more like 4 years ago in a month, Microsoft made an announcement. And this, again, Steve's doing another Microsoft discussion. Yes, that's right. Another Microsoft discussion. But 4 years ago, Microsoft announced this little, I don't know what you'd call it, but they announced this, right? Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. Anybody remember that? Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. And this just raised all sorts of questions. What do you mean? Is the end of Windows? That's it? That's no more Windows. Like, you've had a good run, Windows, right? You've had a good run. So this was in 2015. This article is from May 7th. Right now, this is interesting. Right now, we're releasing Windows 10, and because Windows 10 is the last version of Windows, we're all still working on Windows 10. Okay? That was the message. But here's this little doozy of a thing here, too. Microsoft has been discussing the idea of Windows as a service, but the company hasn't really explained exactly how that will play out in the future versions of Windows. And this is back in 2015, once again, right? So I'm not going to go over this whole article because that's not really important. Okay, this is all from The Verge. Thank you, Tom Warren, for reporting 4 years ago about this. That way I could find it up. I could find it by doing a quick little search again. Okay, so why is Steve talking about this? Well, Microsoft recently announced this. Let me go back all the way up to the top. Enabling, so this is an official Microsoft blog post, right? This is right there, Microsoft page. So they went and did a couple days ago, right? They were at this Computex in Taipei, right? And this is a big show where this is kind of like where all the companies come to release their tech, and there's a lot of tech in Asia, right? This is kind of the big conference where all the tech stuff kind of comes out. And this isn't the only one. There's a bunch of them, obviously, but this is a big one. And Microsoft decided now is a good time to announce enabling innovation and opportunity on the intelligent edge. Ooh, okay, gee, that's a bunch of tech speak, I guess, and corporate speak. But what they did announce, so they go through and they kind of talk about, Microsoft 365 and Windows and yada, yada, yada. Here's some of the unique little equipment that we've got. We've got pens and some, if you're really artistic and you like to design with pens, that's great. We got a bunch of high-level graphics cards that are going to be in laptops, which is really cool. There's some great ninth generation Intel Core i9 processors with Wi-Fi 6. right? So there's some good stuff here, but then they get to these modern PCs and innovative devices. The ecosystem will continue to build and bring to market the future require a modern operating system. Okay. So Microsoft is essentially giving us not, I guess, an official release. It is an official blog post, but this is kind of like, here's what we're doing in our next operating system. Now, okay, so require a modern operating system, seamless updates. Okay, so seamless updates. So everything is going to be updated, are invisibly done in the background. So you're not actually going to be prompted to do anything. It's just going to go, right? And not only that, but you're not even going to be prompted that it's happening. It's just going to go. It's just going to update in the background. So you're not even going to know that it's happening. It's just updating. Some of you may be going, Microsoft recently has had a lot of issues with their updates that they push out. And that's not necessarily the best thing to hear them say that they're going to do. Also, secure by default. State is, so these were some interesting statements. State is separated from the operating system. State. So when we're talking about state, what we're talking about is your data, right? If we're storing data, okay, if you have some piece of information that you need to hold on to and it's stored on the hard drive, that's what we call state. Same thing with in memory. If we're dealing with objects or objects in memory, there's a value assigned to that object in memory. That's considered the state of the object, right? The values that are associated with that object. So what they're saying here is they want to separate out the data from the operating system, okay? Now, traditionally, in pretty much everybody's computer, unless you are a techno geek and you love to do this kind of stuff and, partition your hard drive and set up separate drives, one for your data and one for your operating system, chances are your operating system and your hard drive exist on the same drive. That is most likely the case. You can set it up if you have multiple hard drives. You can actually split it completely physically, but for the most part, we just have operating system and data side by side on the same drive. So what they're saying is they're going to split that state that your computer is maintaining from the operating system. No longer on the same drive. Now think about how they might go about doing that. How would you split apart the operating system from the state, your data? Okay, and that includes data that your applications that are running. How are they going to split the applications too? And the data for those applications, how are they going to split all this up? All right. I'm sure somebody's already thought of the answer, and we do read on and find out. So compute is separated from applications. So the computing engine, the ability for, in Azure we have, or not Azure, well, basically in all these, when you're talking about computing, right, you're talking about the processing of the applications, right? The processing of the actual app, right? So they're saying compute is separated from the applications. So the computing power is not going to be on the same device as the applications? All right. Always connected. Always connected. So with Wi-Fi and LTE 5G will just work. Now, I have some concerns about 5G, okay? And I know some of you are, like, the root of this story, I think, kind of goes back to Alex Jones. And, of course, I am no Alex Jones fan. And just by mere mentioning of his name, this video might get taken down. I get that, okay? But 5G actually does have some concerns. There are scientists that are actually investigating 5G, and there are some legitimate concerns they have found in mice that have been exposed to 5G technology. Yes, cancer. So this isn't just like an Alex Jones, conspiracy thing. Now, we don't know. I mean, I think you have to have replication of this process. I think so. I'm not fully on board. I'm not saying, oh, 5G is causing cancer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. Okay. All I'm saying is I've seen a report out there that is not an off-the-wall InfoWars thing. It's an actual legitimate article that says, like, this scientist discovered this. Okay, so I have some concerns. So I'm not sure that we should just be having Microsoft, like, jumping onto the 5G train. I don't know about that. Okay. All of a user's devices are aware and connected to each other. This includes your phone now, right? Because obviously we're using much more than just our laptops and desktops. We have phones now. We have smart devices plugged into our homes. You know, we have a lot of things. We have Microsoft has the HoloLens. That's probably going to get connected as well. So there's a lot of whatever the device is. I got a smartwatch. They're all going to be, if it's got this operating system on it, they're all going to be interconnected. Okay. Cloud connected experiences that use the compute power of the cloud to enhance users' experiences on their device. I think that right there answers a lot of the questions of what we came up with about earlier, right? And not only that, but when we're talking about updates are invisibly done in the background, if your operating system is essentially just connecting to something up in the cloud, that means there really isn't much to update. Just because everything is being computed online. Everything is being updated automatically in the cloud. So that's where they're going here. Cloud-connected experiences that use the compute power of the cloud to enhance users' experiences on their devices. So we're going to have the beefiest computers, the fastest computers that they can possibly have. It's going to be a centrally located thing. More centrally localized, centralized computing power. That comes with good things and bad things. Okay, the good thing is it's a lot more computing power and get stuff done a lot faster. Bad thing is it's centralized and your data is being processed centrally. There's a lot of people that are going to be hemming and hawing at that one. So a modern OS is aware of what a user is doing tomorrow and helps them get it done. So it's going to be more anticipating. So it's going to be using AI, right? They're talking about how AI is also going to be kind of being more aware of the user experience and what they're trying to do. Like, what is my schedule for tomorrow? What are my habits that I do daily? That kind of thing. And it's going to try to anticipate my needs. Okay. Again, some of us that are from a little bit more old school, we don't really like this kind of intrusion in our privacy, yet it's just going to be a part of the technology. And there's not much that we're going to be able to do to stop it, right? That's kind of something that I think a lot of us are starting to go, wait a minute, like technology is great and everything, but like now we're talking about AI that's just going to be aware of what I'm doing at all times to help me get things done. Okay, what else could it be used for besides helping me? All right. It's a concern, right? I mean, that's the whole thing going on with like Facebook and the user data information. Like how much of your private information are they actually accumulating and then selling or using in order to sell products? This kind of experience is not something that everybody really wants. All right. But here we go with, the largest brand of operating system that's out there that by and large most people use is now going, hey, we're going all AI. We're going all cloud. Okay, can you use a pen, voice, touch, even gaze just as well as you can use the keyboard and mouse? Now, I like that. Like that is something I've been saying for the longest time. The keyboard and mouse, think about how long we've had a keyboard and mouse. Keyboard especially, I mean, that goes all the way back to typewriters, right? But the keyboard and mouse combination for your computer has been around since the 70s. So we've had this technology of a keyboard and mouse since the 70s. It's 50 years old technology. And we haven't changed from it. It's still the same input that we give a computer. That's where I've always felt, at least for the last 10 years, I've been thinking the technology is, we've kind of maxed out on the processing power. We've kind of hit this wall that nobody's really talking about. The old theory that, computing power is going to double every 2 years. That kind of experience is not really happening. Okay, we've hit kind of this barrier because you can only break down silicone to, small enough that it can still do its job. So, semiconductors can only be molecularly broken down to as small as they possibly can, and then you just hit a barrier and you can't go any further. So now I think we've pretty much hit the wall, and what we're doing is now we're stacking CPUs. So that's why we have quad core and, like eight cores and 16 cores, right? All the CPUs, they're not really going much faster than they were, 5 years ago. But what is happening is they can handle more processes because they have more cores. That's really all that's going on. So I've always thought, what's the next big thing? What's going to be the next big breakthrough? And this is it. What are we using to input with our computers? How are we interfacing with our computers? That is going to change. That's why I like the idea. That's why I think wearables are really going to become a thing. They already kind of have, right? We started out with Google Glass. They had, the glasses and they're called glass holes because they were wearing these things. But really, that was just kind of a pioneering stage. I think it's going to become acceptable to have some sort of eyewear that, especially once they get it to like the blades, the Vuzix blades, for example, their Vuzix Blade 300s are almost exactly like a pair of sunglasses. Okay, you can kind of tell something's a little goofy with them, but you can't quite make it out, which is getting really close. Once we get to the point where the technology is so seamless that you wouldn't be able to tell if, these are my regular glasses or they've got some sort of special ability to display things on my screen, or project to my eyeball or something, right? We're going to get to that point. And when we do, it's just going to be acceptable. It's just going to be part of society, and you're not going to have people being called glass holes anymore. And instead, everybody's going to want it because it's going to be kind of this incognito thing. Okay, but now they're talking about using pen, voice, touch, and even gaze as input to the computer. Okay, some pretty cool stuff there. Take advantage of silicon advancements, powerful PCs, and the cloud and power of AI. So this is kind of where they're trying to go with their operating system. Your phone capabilities that let users mirror their Android phone screen on their PC and use the PC mouse and keyboard to interact with phone apps. So I've been kind of thinking this is where we're going to go. I think I even mentioned, now that they're going to be including a Linux distro with Windows. And I perceive into this next operating system, they're going to be doing something similar of having Linux kind of running in the background as a Linux kernel. This interaction with your phones is going to be pretty seamless, I think, with Android especially. So they're even specifying Android phone screens on their PC and use the PC and mouse keyboard to interact with the phone apps. So it's going to be kind of like I can interact with my phone on my computer and vice versa. As long as you're running Android. And again, I think that's because of the Linux kernel that they've been talking about. So there's a lot of other useful information on this blog post, but there's one thing on here. I highlighted how many times they said modern OS. Modern operating system. Modern OS, 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 modern OS. And here's the giveaway. Capital M Modern OS. I think, and I'm not the only one to pick up on this. I read several news articles that kind of picked this up and ran with it. I'm pretty sure this is what they're going to call the next operating system. That's why they were able to say back over here, Windows 10 is the last version of Windows. It's because we're not going to do Windows anymore. We're going to do Modern OS. Ta-da! That's our new operating system. It's going to be called Modern OS. That's where I think we're going, obviously, because they just capitalized M after multiple, right? So the reason why you use a capitalization is if you are identifying if you're using the identifier of a thing, right? It's the official name of something. That's when you give it a capitalized letter in the middle of a sentence. So here we have modern OS, all lower cases being used regularly until this one where we see capital M, modern OS. So these enablers and delighters underpin our vision for a modern OS as capitalized, and I think that's kind of their way of just kind of saying, all right, here's our new operating system. It's going to be modern OS. Now, they're not showing us anything under the hood, right? They're not, but they are telling us basically how it's going to work. They're telling us it's going to be cloud-based, right? Maybe it seems like to me like this is kind of what Google Chromebooks were, right? That's kind of what Chromebooks are. You got a little thin client operating system on the computer, on the device itself that just connects to the cloud. And then everything is basically done on the cloud. That's where we're going. And Microsoft is going with it. So I wonder if this has anything to do with a lot of the partnership stuff that they've been doing with Google. It's entirely possible. I mean, we're seeing Android. We're seeing now it seems like they're going much more towards the Chrome OS operating system stuff. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that screams like, hey, we're in communicado with Google here. So anyway, that's the news that I have for you guys today. And I'm kind of on the fence about this. There's some stuff in there that I think is great, and there's some stuff in there that kind of concerns me. And I think that's probably how most people are going to be taking it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'd love to hear your comments. Obviously, we got a bunch of people in the live stream. You guys can send out your chat messages to me and let me know what you guys think of this. And also, of course, this is going to be posted a little bit later, so you can come to the channel at any time and you can post your comments there. So I'm really curious to see to hear what you guys have to say. And what do you guys think? By the way, anybody know what this is? Anybody want to take a stab at what this is all about? All right. You guys can. I'm not gonna give it away. I'll let you guys comment it. See what you guys think. What is this? What? This is something. There's a cultural relevance besides just being a cat head, right? But anybody recognize that image? It's probably like, that looks really familiar. But the cat head really kind of throws you off the scent. So I'm curious to see if anybody can get that. So please drop me your comments. Who do you think that is, or what do you think that is? Right? Who? It is a person. Who is that? If you guys can tell me correctly who that is, I don't know. I don't have any prizes, but you get a cookie. Okay, you get a cookie. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this modern OS, and I think we should probably just start calling it that because it seems like they're really pushing that. And to again, to other to news outlets' credit. So here's one that I found. This is Tech Radar, and they called it Microsoft Details Modern OS, right? So they picked up on the fact that they're calling it Modern OS. See, Microsoft noted many features would need to be central to what it calls quote unquote Modern OS. So they picked up on it. And then also, this is Thurrott, and they also detected that it was going to be called Modern OS. So I'm not really. It was the first thing that popped to my mind when I was reading the article, and then I went and I saw in the news articles that they also picked up on it. So I did kind of get it, but yeah. Kent says, how would this OS work if you can't get to the cloud? It won't. That's the thing. It won't. Just like how your Google, I mean, maybe they'll have some sort of state. It's possible that they could have some sort of local repository. So think about how like Git and GitHub works. It's entirely possible that you could have state on your computer that is incrementally, you're making changes to it. And then if you are disconnected, your state is being updated locally, and then those states are pushed online once you do get reconnected. But they really kind of made a big emphasis that these things are going to be online all the time. So I imagine that they've got to have some sort of contingency for that. And I'm thinking the way that Git and GitHub works is probably how it's going to work. Some sort of central repository that once you get reconnected, it automatically pushes the updates from off your system back to online. And you just basically have these incremental updates that happen with your data and that get pushed out. Well, I think I got a hair in my glasses or something. Yeah. All right. SAA Consulting says, of course something like this will happen, but there's a gazillion desktop apps out there, including Excel and Word stuff with VBA behind it. Yeah. So I think that this is going to be similar to how Google Chromebooks handle this. The applications, I believe, will be installed on the cloud. And your operating system is going to be nothing more than really just a thin client that connects to the cloud. And you might be able to manage some state items, but really it's just probably just going to be like you've got to connect to the web. You've got to be connected in order to do anything. Maybe you can work on a document here or there locally. Like maybe you'll have a version of Office systems that are installed. But look, you can do, and I've done this back in my IT days, where you can actually set it up so that a computer runs a terminal version of a program, of an application. So you can connect to a server and run your application on the server in a virtualized environment. And with Docker, this is super simple to do. You can actually do this, right? You have an application on an image that is containerized, and you can run it. So that's another possibility. Maybe what they do is when you connect to the web and you open up an application, what you do is you're downloading the container and running it basically in a Docker environment. That's another possibility. I don't know the technical specifications of how this is going to work, but I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some way that they're going to handle this. Kent says, if you're on a boat, this would suck. So I think that's where they're hoping that 5G technology fixes that problem, is that you can be on your Wi-Fi, but if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, then you're on 5G. And supposedly 5G is going to have a lot wider coverage, right? So 5G is going to be more ubiquitous than 4G and have broader coverage. So I don't know. They're saying constantly connected. I don't know how they're going to achieve this. I know that, like, who was it? Was it Elon Musk that was saying he was going to build like a Wi-Fi network that's going to be global through like satellites, or no, through drones. I think he was going to do like drones, have like a drone network that was doing Wi-Fi signaling. That would be interesting. But if they do something like that, then that's how you would do it. So if you had some sort of drone network that was broadcasting Wi-Fi everywhere across the globe, then you'd have internet everywhere. Interesting. Like some of these are kind of lofty ideas that I think haven't fully been fleshed out as far as how they're going to actually be done. And it seems like Microsoft is making a pretty big leap here. They're kind of going that, again, the Chromebook route. Like the operating system is not going to be entirely all that sophisticated. Instead, it's going to refer much more to the cloud to do some of that computing power and state management. I don't know that I like that. I really don't. You're essentially offloading the computing power to some other centralized location, which means that they can manage the resources fairly well that way, but it also means that all that computing power is server side. And in my estimation, in my opinion, one of the better evolutions of the web has been to offload server-side processing, right? That's why you have React. That's why you have Angular. That's why you have Vue. That's why you have all of these JavaScript frameworks, is to essentially offload all that computing need onto the client's computer instead of the server. The server only retrieves data that you request. You make a request to it, it sends you back state. That's all that it does. You make a request, it sends back state. That's how modern web applications work. They're going the complete opposite for your entire computer. They want everything centralized in a central server. And your computer is just basically a thin client talking to the server. I don't know that that's the best route. I mean, why would you do that? Well, the benefits are, yes, you have a centralized location where things can happen. You have the ability to control the environment much better on the server because you can push updates right away, right? You don't have to worry about the client side getting those updates. But it seems to me you would want to have the computing power of the laptop or computer do the majority of the processing so that your resources on the server side don't have to process as much. It's more cost effective to have the client's computer do the processing. So I'm not really sure why this is the direction they want to go, other than it's just neat. It's neat. It does offer some advantages. Like I said, updates can happen mostly seamlessly. You can take advantage of some of the newer technologies, like maybe Docker, right? Maybe you just push out a Docker image that runs the application that you've got. And then, but honestly, I don't understand this deep desire to go cloud computing. I get that maybe that's just part of it, is they want to get you hooked onto their service. Your operating system, your computer will not work unless you're connected to our service. And then we can start charging you not by the operating system, but by the service that you are paying for. That would be a different model, right? And then they could say, well, you never have to pay for the operating system. You just have to pay for the service. It's kind of like what they do with Xbox, right? You have to pay for the Xbox Live service in order to do all the gaming online. And in some ways that helps them keep the cost of the Xbox down, and they're recouping that money off of Xbox Live, because in order for you to use it, you've got to have a connection to their service. Sony has a complete opposite with their PlayStation. You basically buy hardware and you pay a little bit more up front, but then the service online is free unless you want to upgrade to a specialized, gold status service. Yeah, so Kent says, rather than buying a computer, you buy a subscription. Exactly. That's entirely possible. Why they're going to this model is so that they can charge you for the subscription, and then they can, right? If you buy an operating system for your computer, they can't really force you to get the next one. They can motivate you by saying, we're not supporting this operating system anymore. Oh, and by the way, there's a bunch of vulnerabilities in it that are now coming along that if you don't upgrade the operating system, you're going to be vulnerable. Okay. That's the current model of selling you an operating system and getting you to buy every 3 or 4 years. This way, they can essentially sell you the operating system, maybe even release it for free, right? They may say it's completely free. You don't have to pay anything. But in order for you to use our computing service, you've got to pay a yearly subscription. That does also solve a pirating issue, doesn't it? Right? That pirating issue that they have to keep worrying about, because people can just, it's not hard to go find a pirated version of Windows. It's not that hard. I'm sure a lot of people do it. And this is one of the ways that they can get around it. And they're going to try to recoup some of their money. That may be the real key to why they're doing this. That may be it. And then they're just kind of packaging it with all these other goodies that they can add to it. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me again on Coffee with Steve. I am your host, Steve. We do this every weekday morning that I wake up on time. Sorry about yesterday. I was up really, really late the night before. So sometimes I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to not wake up on time. So, I've tried to do these every weekday starting at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. And you guys can join me for Coffee with Steve. You guys can chat with me in my chat channel while I'm doing it, or you can follow up in the comment section below and ask me whatever kind of questions that you want. And I really do want you guys to drive the content of this channel. I want you guys to tell me, what are you guys interested in? What do you want to talk about? I read the comments obsessively, and this is a new channel, so there's not a lot of comments for me to obsess about. But if you do want to have a topic discussed on this channel, all you got to do is just drop it in the comment section below a video just like this one. And as long as, I always say, as long as it's a good one and I got the time to do it, I will definitely do it. So thanks everybody for joining me here again on Coffee with Steve. Here's my intro. That's right, straight talk. I like that, straight talk. Coffee with Steve. And I'll cover any subject. I really will, unless it's something I really have absolutely no idea about and no clue. Then I'll probably do a little bit of investigating and try to figure out what I can intelligently say on the thing. And I kind of like that. I like being able to learn and explore new things and new ideas and new concepts. I'm always looking to educate myself. So if you've got a suggestion for something that you want discussed on this channel, by all means, drop me a comment in the comment section below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful, it is Thursday, right? May 30th? Yeah, Thursday, May 30th. I hope you guys have a great, great Thursday and rest of your week, and I will see you tomorrow.